All right, time for our world-famous women's panel. We'll start out east, where a Nova Scotia judge acquits a taxi driver of sexually assaulting women in the back seat. Now, when police arrived on the stage, or on the scene, the lady was, there was no clothing on from her breast down, and the man also had his pants off. So they came on, and this is the information they got, went over, and as I said, the judge acquitted the taxi driver in this situation. So ladies, we'll start right here on my left. Your thought on this, because he says clearly a drunk can consent.
Yeah, and that bothers me. I have made some terrible decisions when I've been drunk, lots of them involving food, but I can't imagine what it must have been like to be one of those police officers to arrive on that scene, recognize that there is something wrong, recognize the need to intervene and to stop what was happening, and to be compelled in that moment to just say absolutely not, and then to have a judge from his, comfortable bench and his silky robes, much after the fact, make a decision that, no, that was just lovely and you could have just carried on, nothing wrong here. And for those involved in that, right, and like to extend empathy only as far as the accused, I found it really troublesome. It reminded me of the Brock Turner case when the witnesses to the crime were so upset that one of the gentlemen who found Brock Turner and the woman could not talk to police because he was crying so hard. And then again, to have a judge kind of sit back and again empathize with the accused and say, like, well, we don't want this to ruin his life, and well, we don't know, and who can be sure, right? It really sends a very negative message to women who dare to bring these things forward. So.
Yeah, on the weekend I actually heard Rehtaeh Parsons' dad talking about this on the news. She was the teenage girl that committed suicide after being harassed for being sexually assaulted. And he made a really interesting point, saying sexual assault is the only time where we assume that the victim wanted it. So if there was an assault where there was, someone was punched or stabbed, there wouldn't ever be the assumption that the victim wanted that to happen. So I thought that was really interesting that we take that stance, and I don't know if it is, it comes back to this like benefit of the doubt to the accused as opposed to the victim. And I don't understand why this is the approach that our society takes. I don't know if it's a gender thing, but I think it is, because in most cases it's a female victim that is assumed to have wanted it or consented to the situation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is wrapped around the whole idea of consent. And I find that in a lot of these cases, we hear about it time and time again, where a woman's intoxication at the time of an assault is always brought into question, as though, her ability to say no is she's equally capable of saying yes at that time. And I know that a lot of advocates are talking these days about how if she's unable to say no, she's also unable to say yes. And so in this time, when somebody is sexually assaulted, we do have to give them the benefit of the doubt. The fact that he was acquitted with police as witnesses is astounding. I would be interested to hear what the police who arrived on the scene have to say about the case, because it's just categorically appalling.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's shift gears here and talk about Emma Watson, a wildly successful actress. We all know her from different things, and she did a Vanity Fair photo shoot in which she exposed some of her breasts. Now, here's the picture here, and she's a very, very strong feminist. That's very outspoken. In fact, she's a UN Goodwill Ambassador and pioneer of the He for She campaign. Well, after this came out, she was really quite attacked quite aggressively on social media, and she went up to defend herself, and she said, and I quote, "Feminism is not a stick with which to beat another woman with." I'll start right here on my left. Your thoughts on this whole campaign and where the backlash hit her?
Well, and I think it really speaks to the negative stigma around the word feminist, that we're still thinking that feminist is a angry woman in maybe like a turtleneck with no bra who just hates other women and just like hates like bodies in general, and like people are getting really, really wrapped up in outdated and false representations of what it means to be a feminist. We are looking at a artistic picture of a woman who is given consent to have her body pictured. Emma Watson spoke and said, apparently you can't be a feminist and also have boobs, right? Like, which is kind of an odd paradox then. And I think we still have a long ways to go in the re-education around the term feminist. Yeah.
Yeah, I think feminism to me is about being able to make the choice that's right for you and not being judged on that, because every woman has a right to make the right decisions for herself based on a variety of things. And so I wouldn't be comfortable in a picture like that, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong or that I'm somehow better than her. And I think that that's really what it comes down to. And there's a term that's used sometimes, lateral violence. So instead of getting mad at the situation or dealing with the oppressor, you go laterally and attack the person who's at the same level as you. And I think that's what the case is right here.
Okay. Final thoughts?
I do have to say, though, one of my concerns, and she may have evolved since this time, is that Emma Watson's feminism isn't always intersectional, and she did not afford the same liberties to Beyonce in 2013 and criticized her for catering to the male gaze and appearing sexually. So she may have evolved since then, but I do think that we have to be very careful when we have outspoken feminists who are advocating for choice, which is great for women, but that has to be intersectional, and we can't be reifying the hypersexualization of women of color either.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, ladies, thank you. We're going to have to take a quick pause here. When we come back, we've got a second round of the women's panel. We're going to get into the Day Without Women strike that's coming up very quickly and what that means for privileged and non-privileged women. We'll get into that momentarily. Stay with us for Edmonton.